Okay, in page Nun Gimel, it finished finished talking about one point that it says the Medrash says Kinim Tases Ateva is connected with Kan Sipar, Kanesha Yerkinai, and that's the end of Kodesh HaKadosh. That's connected with Taras HaMatzeret. The Taras HaMatzeret is also to Kinim. So I think I looked up that Kan Sipar means a nest of a bird. Because anytime there's more than one sipper that's bought the korban, it's called a kan. It's more than one. I'm not sure. There's almost sech called Mesech Skinim. It talks about korbanis, korban yeledes, korban mitzayah. They bring more than one bird. It's not negay. Upon him, so what we said here is that the kind of the slichus avonos, the taras hamatzeres abun mit kan sipper. So we have 6 lines from the top of the page. Nun Gimel. Now you're going to go into the Chassidus part. The fact that the Neshama came down to this world is in order to reach higher, the descent for the purpose of ascent. נשמה שנסעת בתוירי, we say every day, נשמה שנסעת בתוירי, פירוש תוירי מלושן כעצם השמיים לא תויר. Torah doesn't just mean pure from tuma. Means it's crystal clear. Behirus. Behirus means brightness. The light is very clear. It's such clear light, it's impossible to capture with. You can't even see it. The whole type of light that it's not so clear, so refined. That we can capture with our eyes, with our sight, because it has something that's tangible. There's a type of light which is so bright. Another dogma, avir megushim, light, ear that has that's more thick. Ear that is thick, that is can be seen. Avir zach, very clear ear. Shem be'akshamin near cloud. Guy brings, I see already, but to the Gemara, and Avir, then it brings more practical too. The light of the sun, the light of the sun is so powerful, so bright, that we can't see it. There is some very thin cloud. This type of glass, green glass, a different type of glass. Then we can capture the very powerful, very the essence of light without any agshama, without anything that limits it, that blocks it, impossible to see it. It can damage your eyes. Okay, so all this, I don't know why you got into such a long arichas, because it's out saying that neshama Torah, etzem hashamayim l'Torah, that just like the it says in pasuk with the v'tachas raglov, Bahiras Hashem Elokei Yisrael, that the Eden had a vision, the vision of godliness, and it's described Tachas Raglov Kamaisa Livnis Asaba Ke'etzem Shamayim L'Toya. So Toya means it was so bright, it's so clear that it's you can't see it. It says Va'il. I guess they reach a certain level of vision. So it went along arichas what Toya means. Described first. There's oil, which is not megushim. There's avi is not megushim. There's shemesh. Upon all this, this entire arichas is just to focus on the concept of Toyar in the Pasuk, Etzer Shemayim Toyar. When you get to us, that was also the Pshat, when it says Neshama started with Toyari. What is Toyar? Neshama, Ein Mchinas Yesh is Klal, Mchinas Ein. So Toyar signifies the concept, Neshama started with Toyar means that the Neshama is in a state of Ein. It's a state of total bittul. Zero Shekosuk, there's other Pasuk. Another pasuk in Ishaya. Kol anika b'shmi v'lichvedi b'rosi v'tzarti v'chasisi. So we know that pasuk from Pirkei Avos. The last, I think, the mission before the last in Pirkei Avos, the end of Pirkei Avos says, Kol ma shebarak ha'zbacha be'elam elabor lichvedoi, shenema kol anika b'shmi v'lichvedi b'rosi v'tzarti v'chasisi. So what does it say? So the Targum is the Koyal Neshamas, which goes to the Targum is Targum, and that pasuk in Ishaya says that pasuk talks about Neshamas. Neshama has a Nika B'Shmi, I guess. That's the Neshamas, and they have this Madrigas that the Chvaydi was and Tzatim Chasisi. I know that Neshama, the Koydem Shenivo. So what is the pasuk describing the Neshama? The Neshama has a few stages. Koydem Shenivo, Klum, Yecheres, B'Shmi, B'Nasai. The highest level of the Neshama is Anika B'Shmi. It's part of the Eibishter's name, so it doesn't even have any of its own being, any of its own existence. Haka Be'os, Chvaydi Be'osiv, B'Nas Bri Yesh Ma'ayin. ויצרתי, מבחינת הסגלוס היש, ויש מיש. So there's two stages, Bria and Yitzarti. Bria and Yitzir. What's the difference? Bria is Yesh Ma'ayin, Yitzarti, Yitzir is Yesh Miyesh. Yitzir means a form. The Bria, she brings in the famous Ramban, that Bria is Reish is Savas HaYesh, Shein, if not Yesh Mamish. The Yesh, the Reish is Savas HaYesh, the Bria, the whole Bria, it's Taka Yesh, but it's a very abstract form of Yesh. Which goes to Ramban, it's a matter which is abstract. The concept of Bria is only Efshorius HaMetzius, it's not real Metzius. So that's the Indian, according to Bishmi, and that's also what we say in the morning. We kind of show it to be Ata Baros, Ata Yitzarta. Ata Nefachta, then there's the lower level, Ata Nefachta, Shu Shabo Ba'asiyah V'tash Tchem Aguf. So this Ata Nefachta applies to that level of Neshama, which is the Bo B'Chem Aguf, the way it's malubash in the body. Ata Nefachta B, which means below it in me means in my body. So that's the lowest level of the Neshama. So that's talking about the Sham. Now, similarly, Lamaila in the elements of Yonim, in the spiritual worlds. Who brings Biyah Kloli? Well, he jumps right away, not the regular Biyah, Biyah Kloli. There's like we learned a few times that there's something called Biyah Kloli, the Ak Adam the Bria, the Chlolos, the Adam Kadmon is considered Bria the Chlolos. Kudim, the Kudim Adam the Yitzira, Kudim and the Kudim are considered Adam the Yitzira. And then and Bodim is Olam Asiyah. Okay, so that's the close. But according to this pshat, that Bria Yitzira Asiyah means Bria Yitzira Asiyah Klolim. So Bria is Ak. So what is Tahira? Tahira is above Ak. What is that? Tahira. So Tahiri means the pure, the Tahiri law, the higher the higher purity, and the Sham Shesh and the Sham is the clothes. So the Shesh and the Sham are really is not the clothes, and Sam Shalif Netzim. So it comes to Metzius, but only Lachar Tzimtzum. Potim, so Bainos Bia Potim. Again, he goes back and forth. So he goes, how does it work? Mato, Bechot, so Bainos Bia Potim, Asher Sasha, Gum, Nefesh Ativis, Shema Bak Shama, Nefesh Ativis. That eventually the Neshama, the Sheikh Neshama is in very high levels of that symptom, but the Neshama descend and mislabish in the lowest madrigas until it reaches the body, the Nefesh Ativis and the body. And then Agam the neshama lo nishtana me'etzem motzius. But then the neshama is different than the rest of creation. The neshama, the descent does not change its essential type of being. Yeah, though ever been buried the neshama shani void. We learned that actually in Fima Maham also. There's an essential difference between the way that the neshama is created and the rest of creation. The rest of creation, when the Eibusha created them, the Nasa Niva became their own being, Niva Mamish. That's a creation. Shaniva Ena Bayer. The Niva and Bayer are two different things. There's the creator and there's the created. It's two different. It's separate. Masha Enken. The Neshama is Gan Kweshin Bebriya, but of course Mamish actually has a Yesh. The creation of the Neshama is such a type of creation that it's still an extension of Elikus. Reactionaire became its own being, but בעצם נשמה הוא בעצם also אלוקות ממש. Its essence stays godliness. כמו שורש הנשמה מסתכל לאצילוס, another example of it, another way of explaining it is that it says that the shorish and the shama is in Kalim Datzilus. What is Kalim? Kalim is similar. Elikus mamish. Kalim in spheres, you have the earth and the Kalim, so the Kalim are also similar to the Neshama. They're a separate entity, but it's still part of Elikus. The earth, the Kalim, Shneim Elikus, that's it is earth and Kalim. Earth and Kalim are both Elikus. Shenas, I'm sorry, there's a Kalim, where is it? Shneim Elikus, like Sha'or, Prinas, Ein, Kalim, Prinas, Metzias, Dober. So the shamas shasham kalim because the same shamas have the same quality as the kalim. They're mitzios, but the mitzios is the likus. But gam not only that, the gam kamashiyod on mat mistav shvaguf. Not only the neshama the way it's created in its original form, before he does it. Before it descends into the body. Even there, it has both aspects, the Metzius and the Metzius is the Likus. Not only that, even when the Shama is descending into this body, and it's included and invested into the body, it still stays connected. It still stays part of an extension of a likus. It was the raya. Can tolerate the fact that it's melubash and gum nefesh ativis. I know she'im yesh shivnes atav shativis and arjush shativis. The neshama is in a state of slapshus, total in investment and in clothes in captured by the gum nefesh ativis. It doesn't make the neshama in a state of nefila that fell out of its essential level. The endemic my malachim show the matter even when the finimoy it says in pasuk when the finimoy the malachim the Rashi said the malachim fell down, came down into this world, and they lost their quality. Their failure, like they failed. So nothing matter goes, and that's when it's yesh mamish. They failed, and they became its own yesh. They became in a state of yeshus, just like the yesh and Islam. It means the world that they are part of. The neshama is the way the neshama is in the goof. It's stuck is slapshas mamish, but it's not in the way of nefila. It didn't lose its connection. It didn't fell out of connected. Adam, but not only that, not only didn't fall out, Adam, the neshama has the power, and it actually does that elevate and refine the nefesh habamis, and it creates a situation of achno bittul in the nefesh habamis. So why is that? Why is the neshama has the power? Because the neshama is a mile madrege velikus bichot alif al bittul of the nefesh habamis. Because the neshama is a different type of being. It's not like the rest of creation that became its own Yeshus. Neshama state maintained that the fact that it's elikus. That's why bicholta lifa labit v'asech neshama. That's why it can affect nefesh habamis and transform. הגם שזהו על ידי הכוח שניתן לו מלמעלה, I לכאורה, why you think the reason that the neshama is like goes, we know that the neshama needs a special influx of energy for that. כמים, והוא הנה משבין את הדיצדי. ידוע שזה שנדסנו כרך לנשמה גם נשמה וסבר. So לכאורה, from that, Maimar Azal is mashma that the neshama on its own doesn't have that. It's not part of its nature. It needs a special mashbina. It's needs to be sworn in, which means given the special energy, it should be able to do it. Again, and also also the shaman needs help from Torah in order to transform the Shabbat. So these two things may tell us that the shaman itself doesn't have it, but it says no. In the cause of the shaman is that. The fact is, who gets this koyach? Who gets the Torah after the neshamas? Why? Because the neshamas be'etzim have that potential. HaKodesh Mashbin, not only that, HaKodesh Mashbin say that we say that Mashbin is a Tzadik in the Zam B'Shem Neshama Atzmo. Where does that strength and the energy of Mashbin is derived? That's from the Neshama itself. And also Torah and Nitna, the Neshama is after the Malachim learned it the Torah. Malachim couldn't get the Torah. I think Kodesh Baruch Rak Neshama Torah. Because Be'etzem Am Kedim Lo Torah. In the BMS Keinu, Sitztaket true that the neshama is a likus. Shaneshama lo nishtana be'etzem musa. Bekom b'kabar izgar, Shaneshama shalmata bein ha'arech v'meshal maylo, v'lo shalmata misalam ma'oi debo b'akshama. But the fact is that the neshama, okay, so he finished saying how strong the neshama is. Now he's telling us the opposite thing. That in the BMS Keinu, Shaneshama lo nishtana be'etzem musa. Bekom b'kabar, but at the same time, the way the neshama is, we're in the middle of page on Dalet. Shom Escheles, Arim Kelim, Le'ater. The neshama is loy nishtana be'etzem. Staket true. The neshama itself didn't change. The pintalit stays the way it is. Come on, it's Gal's and the neshama shouldn't matter, but the way the neshama expresses itself, but in the arech l'kamei shalom, it's way less than the way it's lamayla. The way it doesn't matter, it's alamayla. The way the neshama descends in this world, so its light is hidden very much. Above Akshama, it becomes more materialistic. We see the poil. Gam is boina. Because even when a person there's neshama is misbain the course, it contemplates godliness, and it reaches madreg of avas Hashem and yiras Hashem. It's not at all at the same level of the avavir the way it was the way neshama is lamayla. And that the famous pasuk that always brings from it says Hashamat telephone when the neshama was lamayla. This is the state of mat telephone of Tachmas Habit. So the neshama, the way the neshama reaches the world in Melubash, it's Melubash Beguf, even though it can reach its blindness now here, but it's a very drastic descent. And what is the purpose of this Yerida? Like we said earlier, the purpose of the Yerida is the Aliyah. that we reach to the Yerida. And how do we reach the Aliyah? To the mitzvah. We should go the mitzvahs of the Vochin. This is why they said the Vochin is mitzvah. Asher kiddushana b'mitzvah. So kiddushana mitzvah. They them is out of this kiddush ha'eliyah. To mitzvahs we reach a matter of kedusha. Like we said earlier, neshama is tahira here, and to mitzvahs kiddushana. This kiddush ha'eliyah. The mitzvah is rotzen ha'eliyah. Mitzvah is expressed that Eibush is rotzen, Eibush is will. Ashmaima, like the famous expression in Hazal, Nahasoch, the Rashi says at the beginning of Parashat Vayikra, Reich nechoyach laHashem, Nahasoch lefonai, shamarti v'nasa retzeni. So that's the diuk rotzen. V'hainu shalidei hamitzvos misan epnes kodesh aman epnes tahir. That's the key. The Yerida tzarech ali. The neshama itself is tahir. But to the mitzvah, Shakidashana mitzvah is the Kedusha, which is above Tara. Tara is purity, Kedusha means holiness. The holiness, Kedusha is above Tara. It says in famous Baraisa, Tara mevir the Kedusha. Kedusha itself is above Tara. Ta'ira, because why? Ta'ira means Rak is dachos ma'yeshus. Interesting. Earlier he spoke about that Tahira means Melashon Etzem Hashemayim, but Toya, Etzem Ha'or, etc., etc. But still, he says definition of Tahira means is Dachos Ma'yeshus. Tahira, when you say you have to, Tahira means you have to purify. Purification means you have some kind of relation to non being pure, you have to purify yourself. So there is some type of connection, negative connection. אבל קודש שמוב לו בערך בייס ein קודש. בייס פנס ein ממש. Kedusha is a higher level of bittul. Tahira is a bittul. Okay, we can say it within a certain kind. Bittul ayesh. Tara is bittul ayesh. Mashenken Kedusha is a higher level of bittul. Ein mamish. Bittul mitzis. There shekosu, that brings an interesting big stam der Chaga brings a pasuk. Va'anshe kodesh piyun li ubasa basada treifa lo yisechelu. It's a pasuk in, I think in Mishpatim. Anshe kodesh. It says basa basada treifa lo yisechelu is connected to Anshe kodesh. What is basa basada treifa? It says basa basada is on the tiras abris. Man, the not the bris, ikat tzadik, ikat sumera. Anshe kodesh, when you say take. So I don't know why he brings it from this pasuk here because it says kodesh. So anshe kodesh. So the Zohar says that also basar teichel is a remez of shmiras habris. Person is very careful in the union of shmiras habris. So Bele, that's the union of basar. So that's so mera. Anshe kodesh, and you say teiv. They shall reine shall name it as esse. It's leises. So the two modes of avodah that are described in this pasuk, which is on page Nundalet, in the middle of page Nundalet. So the two modes of avodah, the avodah of Sumaya, I say Torah, means Anafnes Kodesh and Manafnes Torah. Now it brought in another concept here. Because we spoke about the Rebbe Tzarech Aliyah, he started saying the Shama is the very high Madrega, Tahira here, Elikus Mamish, but Tahira is still some kind of some type of connection. Mashenk Kodesh Gedusha is above Tara. So that we come to mitzvah. So Shekidashana mitzvah. To says mitzvah, we reach the madrega of Kodesh, which is above Torah. So now he's going to describe this concept. What is Kodesh at Torah? So now he's getting into it. In a Kodesh from a Tzoyv Kolam. Kodesh Bichlal means madrig of Sevkam. Sevkam, it's surrounding it, it's above us. Yesh Kodesh v'Kodesh. In Gedusha Gufa, there are two levels. There's Kodesh, let's say in simple language. Kodesh means heiligkeit, holiness. Kodesh means someone is holy. What's the difference? Kodesh or ha'oras hatzayim. something is holy, it means that it has holiness in it. So inside the Guf the two madrigas, Kodesh and Kodesh. V'tor, Mashen To'elo, Prince Mamal Kolam. So it started both in that Guf two madrigas, but what's negay here is the two madrigas, the Kodesh and Torah. Kodesh in general is madriga of Seif Kolami, and Torah is Mamal Kolam. What is the pshat? The ine machshava v'dibo boim pchinas islapshus. That's a martial form from nefesh adam, from the human experience. There's machshava and dibo, there's thought and speech, and boim pchinas islapshus. They when he's in machshava and dibo, the person applies himself to something, which means, my other machashava is the Indian. For example, when the person thinks into something, but he applies his thought to some concept. Shamami, what does it say? Sorry. Machshava is eslaved to fisa ba'isayinian. So his machshava, his thought, is applied and invested and grasped in it. Zel machshava shapisechel v'tam shapoleh p'nei savnim. That's the level of machshava that he applies in a way that he wants to use logic. For example, when a person is preoccupied with some intellectual concept, so he delves it in depth, thinks into it. So his thought is preoccupied and invested in that particular concept. Example, when he imagines in his mind certain a certain object or idea, so what happens is, your mind, your thought is preoccupied with it, and so it shows the fact that the thinking about this particular object or concept takes away from being able to pay attention to anything else. Similarly, when Dibo, the Koyach Dibo, is similar to that. Boknas is slapshus. When a person speaks, his entire being is invested in that speech. When the person speaks about something, talking about real speaking, I mean, there are exceptions, but generally, when the person speaks, his mind his entire neshama is into his speech. That's so we have machshava. It's a body in a marshal from nefesh adam, from human experience. There's machshava and dibo. So similar in the nimshal l'mayla, we say number says basar mamoris. There is a sar mamoris niva elam. So the way the world is created is to something which is called deep speech. Vayomer likim yerikia. That's what psukim saying bereishis. Vayomer likim. What does that signify? Just like we said in the mush, the person speaks, his entire being is invested in what he's saying. Similarly, when it comes to when we discuss Lamaila, the union of when we say Lamaila speech, I saw my mouth, that means to say that the Ebershter's energy kaviyachol that creates is mislabish. It's invested in the nifal. Shekoyach hapoel lekif lesajna nifal. The koyach hapoel leki, the godly koyach hapoel is invested in the nifal. Lahavois okay. Melubash bazeh within that dibur kaviyachol melubash gam kis machshav. This ma'im asosim. It says in this after Shabbos, it says mem pasuach, mem pasuach, mem pasuach, mem pasuach, mem pasuach. This mem pasuach, the way the Eibishter talks, the Kaviyachol says in an upper way, in Dibo, but within it there's mem pasuach, the hidden speech, which means machshav. What does all this mean in the Nimshal? So again, so this marshal of Machshava and Dibo is used here to show how when the Eibishter creates the world, this creation of our reality, it happens to the deep of the Eibishter, and to the Machshava of the Eibishter, which means that the Eibishter, the Koyach Haliki, the godly force, is preoccupied and invested in creation. Okay, but we still that was the beginning. But now he's gonna go split it more. We find something else. On the Roy there is really a few levels in the Machshava. The Machshava Dibo, number one, Machshava Dibo, Shnei B'Malchus. Okay, it jumps back to Kabbalah, to the spheres, the Nimshal. The Machshava and Dibo Shalamayla, there's both of them are spheres Malchus, like Dibo, Chitzenius Malchus. Or Machshava, or Pnimius Malchus. Or Pchinas Iro, Mishkos Makom Acher. So that is so the machshava we spoke about here. There's a way the machshava is in Malchus, which means it's a type of thought that is really the inner meaning of the speech. Whenever you say something, first you think what you're going to say, and that you say it. So this is the machshava, which is a Malchus. But yeah, machshava b'midah. There's a higher level of machshava. When machshava is before it reaches expression, it's within the feel, part of the feeling. It's a more subtle and abstract level of machshava. So the in Tanya uses an expression. The first step in development of machshava is the first thing is the chemda beliboy. There is a certain drive and trigger within the heart, and that causes them to think about it. So that is a higher level of that's a chemda. The chemda is something much more abstract than the way the ear is in mouth. That's a higher level of machshava than the way machshava we described before. Yes, and there's even a higher level of machshava. Yes, machshava b'bina, chol hasoga seichel b'sim machshava. וגם חוכמה יפנס מחשבה, חושב מח, זה יפנס חוכמה כרך מח. So, but what we're saying here is, in Machshava Gufa, Machshava Gufa, there's several levels. There's the way Machshava jumps from the Mashal to the Nimshal here. See, the way he described it is Machshava, the way it's part of Malchus, that's hero. This is Machal, hero and Machshava. It sounds over here that hero, I think there's also we spoke about it. There's a letter of the Rebbe about it also. We have to find it. The hero, there's a mime about the Mitzvah Rebbe Be'or HaZohar that discusses the difference between hero and machshava. And I think over there it also says that hero is it's a more it's more of external type of machshava. It's less of an expression of the inner soul. But in here we just said what is teaching us here that there's a machshava. So the machshava, the truth is in I would say in real life, 90% of more than 90% of the machshavas, we say we think that's the machshava we're talking about, machshava and malchus. But he says there's a higher level of machshava, the way it is in feelings and midas, which he calls chemda beliba. Then there's even higher than that, meichin, bina. And then there's even higher machshava, which is in chachma. It calls the shavava islapshit, which is called brachosisa. Reishes bara, chochmas bara, it calls the shavava islapshit ve'isabas. So that level of machshava is also part of creation, because creation is an expression of the midas shalom ayla kaviyachol, the chochma shalom ayla. Not only that, he says, gamarotzini kamashov. Even the rotzen shalom ayla, which is above chochma, it's also called machshava. K'mayma b'achshava achas nivra ha'olam, that when the Chazal say machshava achas nivra ha'olam, zok she'olo b'rtzoynei. So that's called Rotz. Shegam ha'rotz n'prim sislav, sheba mokel b'chachma. So there's a level of Rotzen which is also mitmulubish in creation to Chachma. V'araya Rotzen b'prim sischalkus. Again, he goes back to the Nimshal. To the Nimshal L'mayla, the Madrega for Rotzen Shalamayla, we find in the sources in Kabbalah that the Rotzen Shalamayla is also relating itself to creation. Because of Beis Chaim, the Ein Sof Meir B'Chachma B'Keser. Okay, so he brings in a famous expression that it's Chaim we learned already in the past. He says that the kids are just to bring out one point. So what is he saying that it's Chaim? Ein Sof, the Eibishter's infinite Eir, Meir B'Keser B'Chachma B'Kirov Makom. When it shines in the spheres of Keser and Chachma, it's Bekir of Makom. It's similar to something which shines from close. Or Bina Berichok Makom, Barachava. In Bina, it's not as close, but it's Richok Makom Barachava, but it's still in a state of Achov. Or Bezor, the Chaloin. And in Zor, in the Madrika of Zor, the Ein Sof shines only to a window, which is more distant. But Malchus derech neked. That's the Lashon Kabbalah. So wait, the Meir and Malchus, it's only derech neked, through a hole, which makes again this Mashon in Kabbalah being a mashal something extremely physical, but it really signifies a concept. So let's say when you have a light, you have a very strong light very close to you, then it's in a distance, then it's only through a window and through a hole. So it shows various madrigas in the gili of the earth. So the close, when the kill of Markham, it's very close, it's very strong, the effect is powerful. And the other madrigas gets weaker from one to the other. There's Richuk, there's Haloi, there's Nek. That's expression it's Chaim. But what's the get to us? Yadua, so then in another place some Chassidus explains this, it's Chaim. It says Ein Sof Meir. What does Ein Sof mean? Kol Zeh B'Gilui Rotzen, B'Chol Madrigas. Really, that expression it's Chaim talks about the way the Rotzen Shalom Aylo is expressed in all these madrigas. That the Chachma B'Kirov, that in Chachma, the madriga of that rotzen in Chachma in Kirov, Bina Richuk, Akshubar Chova, Bazar, Loina, Malchus Neked, Mishkos Makamach. So again, what he's saying is that expression in its time, Oyer in Sof, really talks about the rotzen Shalomai. Meile, what we get to us is to show that rotzen is Prince Chalkus. So this is in the Tzilas Gufa, different spheres, the different Chachma, Bina, Zohar, Malchus. Similarly in the Oilmas in general, Shein Day Magila Batzilus, so Bibiyav, and the Subshrifna Atzilus. Shemacholokim Magila and Subshabay. Each world has a different level in a different level of expression and revelation of their himself. Shekol Zeh B'Ischalkus Ba'Rotz. So all this shows us there's a difference in the Rotz. Shakach olav yotzaina, because that's an expression of how he wants, how his Rotzen is. Sheba'olam zeh yagil b'efen kach, ba'olam zeh b'efen kach. Each olam should get the gilu in a certain level, a certain way. V'ayna shagam ba'ashar b'koyach yesh b'zeh medida b'efen ha'giluim. Even in the state of Ashar B'Koyach, when he estimates how he's going to make Megalis, each Olam has a different Madrig. Vagam, the Shama, Plow, the way it is in the Ashar B'Koyach, it's not yet separated. So is Messiah, each Olam is going to get it, but in that Madriga they're all equal. But come Yesha Medida Barotz. But there's still a measure which Olam is going to get what. The male above Hakach is Hakach Begila different. Then eventually that division is revealed to the Chachma, in Chachma, the Chachma, the Atzilus. What the point he's making here is how all these levels of revelation within each Olam, within each Madrega, have their own strength and quality. And really, this is the difference between Arotz and La'olam and the Beis Ha'olam and the mitzvahs. So this, what we just described in the Madrigas of Arotz, that the Arotz is divided, and it's gradual. Each Olam, each Madriga gets another portion, a higher, lower, stronger, or weaker portion of the Arotz. That talks only about the Arotz and the Beis Ha'olam. Mashenkin, the Arotz and the mitzvahs is different. The mitzvahs, agam shem otzenes potim, when it comes to mitzvahs are also individual otzenes. It's specific otzenes. Sheyesh rotz miyot mitzvahs film, v'rotz miyot mitzvahs tzitzis kaigam. Each mitzvah is its own expression of its own kaviochel rotz of the Eibishter, interest of the Eibishter. Mikol makoim, in akel of rotz echad, shem is Yisrael's klal. The way it's a mitzvah, the way it's a mitzvah is different than the way the rotz and B'Yisrael. What we describe now, as far as the division and the graduation, the way they are separate and divided. That only talks about the rotz of Olamas, B'Yisrael. The rotz of mitzvahs, they're not the same. They're equal. Akel echad, she'ein b'zeh Yisrael's klal. It's one rotz. Maimar Azal, that we learn in Maimar Azal, Alti Yeshev Shek Mitzvah Torah. Learn that in Pirkei. Don't weigh the mitzvahs of Torah. Kal Shemor is Akal Shabbat. K'mo Shloch HaKan Kivadav V'Eim. I think Shloch HaKan Kivadav V'Eim, I think that's the Gemara, that's Chazal bringing something that's easy and hard. Shloch HaKan is considered the easy mitzvah, and Kivadav V'Eim is as a hard mitzvah, that Kalas and Chamoris, but it's all equal. Zeshem Kalas and Chamoris, the fact that one mitzvah is called Kalas, and one is called Chamoris, there is at a time a Kavana Shabbat. That's when you look at the purpose and the logic and the reasoning. Amitzad Rotza and Kulam Shabbat. But as far as the interest, the Rebbe's Rotza and how much he wants it, equal. All mitzvahs are equal. כי הטעם אין פועל בהם, זה word, אין פועל בהם ישחלקס. The fact that this one has this reason, the other one has a different reason, doesn't make them different from each other. כי הטעם אין סיבה סרות, על כן אין הטעם מגביל מחלק סרות. Now he has an interesting point here, that if the reason, if the ultimate, not the word reason can mean a few things, if the cause of the mitzvah would have been the logic, the reasoning of it, then there'll be a difference. This mitzvah is for this reason, that mitzvah is for different reasons. So I mean, there's a difference. But really, the real source of the mitzvah is the Rotz Hashem, the Rebbe wants. The tam is a lower type of additional expression of the mitzvah. It's not the essence, it's not the real source. The real source is the Rotz, and that's why it's equal everything. That's what it says. The time, the reasoning is not the real cause of the mitzvah. That is why the time does not limit and makes the division between one Rotz and one mitzvah and the other mitzvah. The Rotz and the Bris Ha'olamos, that is the difference. The Rotz of mitzvah, the Rotz and the Bris Ha'olamos. The Rotz and the Bris Ha'olamos ain't a Rotz Nazi. The Rotz and the Bris Ha'olamos is not really a real Rotz. It's really a derivative. It's a secondary Rotz. which means כי מהכוון הפנימי שהסיב הסורץ. ועל פי הכוון הפנימי זה המדידה ברוצן ויפן הגילויים. שבו יפגש את תושלם הכוון. בו אחר כך בכנס יצחק זה החוך. He's using very high words here, but to try to understand it in simple terms. The lots of Israel is what we always call is chitzonius lots. Let's say you have to make a living. That's a always blinks. Person wants to be able to live, so he has to go have a job. He has to work. So he gets up in the morning, he goes to work. So and he wants to do it because he wants to. So again, it's not a primary lot. He doesn't have a real interest in the work. It's a secondary because he wants to achieve something else, because he wants to be able to pay his rent in order to be able to live. So he needs to work. So the work the fact that he works is only secondary. It's a derivative. The male, that's called what is it called here? It's only a result of something else. He has an interest, and in order to fulfill that interest, he has to do it. So that's secondary. Because you have the inner kavanah. The Abish wants to create the world. It's interesting. He doesn't tell us what the kavanah is, but in other places it says the ultimate kavanah is the Abish wanted to create a world. There should be the other ways to express the purpose of creation. So in order to reach the purpose, he has to create a world. So the world is like a secondary. It's like a side. So sort of a side effect. Melee says, now the in other words, the Eibishter really wants something. He really wants mitzvahs. But in order to be mitzvahs, he has to create a world. So he creates the world, and there's details how he creates the world, the visions, and it's figured out. That's why in the world there's difference between the elements. What's the mitzvah? What's atzmi? Lo mishmei ze tam siba. Lots of mitzvahs. It's a different type of lots. It's an inherent drive, so to speak, that the Eibishter just wants the mitzvah, without any logic to it.
R'Dovid.
And one of the ways we see it in real life is mitzvah lahen is nit. The Gemara says mitzvah lahen is nit. That mitzvahs is not meant we should enjoy them because it's not purpose. It's not specific purpose. Lav lahenis. The shein what? Sorry.
So here is saying that on one sentence is saying that even in each mitzvah there's a ratzon prati. Yeah, there's a hagam shehem ratzon prati mishesh ratzon meyuchad and this tefillin and mizu. But hakol ratzon echadu.
Yeah.
What does that mean? If it's a ratzon prati, so what's hakol ratzon hu? Yeah, they're all ratzon, but different flavor of ratzon.
So I think yeah. So I think the point he's making here is usually ratzon prati means, but not usually in the world of ratzon of olamais. So each olam has its own. The ratzon is less. There's less of a gilui of ratzon like you said earlier. In the lower world, there's less ratzon than the higher worlds. There's less ratzon to it. There's less.
You mean the quality and quantity? You're saying that by the mitzvah.
Mashenk in the mitzvahs, there's a difference in the mitzvahs sits on film, but both of them express at the same. That's the altiyesha of a shekel. They're different tzeinis, but each one expresses a pure ratzon, not a different madrega in ratzon. It's not that I want this more than I want this. That's the point. It's not that there's more ratzon in one mitzvah than the other. This is what he brought in the ratzon prati. It's the ratzon prati doesn't make one more than the other. It's just two different tzeinis. There's ratzon tefillin, ratzon tzitzis, but then it's not that he wants one more than the other. Not only that, there's kalas and chamoros, there's kibbutz and shlo hakan. Even there, it's not the pshat he wants one more than the other. The lot is equal in all of them. Out the Yeshiva Shek. They're individual each but the fact that they're specific doesn't make one stronger or weaker than the other. I think that's the idea here. That's the different way it is in Olam. In Olam, he says that Chachma may be richuk makom and the bina bekir. Each madrega has a law. One is lower than the other. In the Ratan of Olam, there's lower and higher. In the Ratan of Mitzvah, they're all equal. I think that's the point to make.
So you're saying the quality is.
I'm not quality and quantity is the word. Maybe we can use that maybe also. The point is that the division, it's not a division of an hierarchy higher and lower. It's a division. It's a lateral. In other words, the division of on the same plane. They're all the same, but it's divided. There's film, there's tzitzis, there's kishor hakan, there's kibud av. So they're different, but they're not separate but equal. In other words, they're different mitzvahs, but they're all the same. They all express the pure Rotz and Atzmi, because if the time would be the reason, if the reason would be logical, so some make more sense, some make less sense. But so in that level, you can say that some mitzvahs are higher, some are lower. But if the cause is the Rotz and the expression of Shamatim Nasar Ritzaini, so there's no difference. All of them are equal in that madrig.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. We'll continue tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, very nice.